This video is about early retirement and whether or not you've already saved too much. The average person lives to about 80 years old. Now, if you're over 40 like me, you're probably in the second half of your life. And we all know time flies in, and most people work far longer than they need to. They stay in jobs they don't enjoy, sacrifice years of health and freedom, and wait for some magic number in their savings account. I've seen this time and time again in my 24 years as an investor and working with thousands of contractors around the world. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you 8 clear signs you could retire far earlier than you think, plus one retirement option almost nobody considers, but probably should. Chapter 1, Rethinking Retirement. Most people think of retirement like a piggy bank. You work hard, you stash your money away, and one day finally break it open. The problem, many people save so aggressively that they sacrifice lifestyle, friends and family along the way, and then end up retiring too late to enjoy any of it. Instead, try to think of retirement like a scale. On one side you have money, on the other side you have lifestyle. The goal isn't to pile as much money on the scale as possible. The goal is to balance the two sides so you can enjoy life now and in retirement. What about you? Are you planning for tomorrow or living for today? Or ideally, both? Let me know below. Now, let's go through the 8 signs you might be much closer to retirement than you realise. Sign 1, you already live below your means. There's a famous story in Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. 2 men lived completely different lives. One was a Harvard graduate and high-flying executive at Merrill Lynch, making millions. The other was a janitor, earning minimum wage. You'd assume the executive retired in comfort, but no. Because of his lavish spending, he went bankrupt. Meanwhile, the janitor lived simply, invested sensibly, and died with over $8 million. The lesson, making money is one thing, keeping it is another. If you already live below your means, track your spending, and have a sizable nest egg, you might already be far closer to retirement than you actually think. Sign 2, your mortgage is gone. For most people, their biggest monthly bill is the mortgage. And here's the thing, once the mortgage disappears, so does the need for such a huge retirement fund. Think about it. If your expenses drop by £1,000 a month because your home is paid off, that's $12,000 less per year you need to fund your retirement. So if your house is fully paid for or close to it, that's a huge green light that you might be ready to retire much earlier than the official age. Sign 3, you can access your pension or ISA. Here's a trick question. At what age can you legally access your pension? Most people guess 65 or 67, but in the UK the answer is 55, soon moving to 57. And with stocks and shares ISAs, you can access money anytime really, and I like this flexibility. So if you're financially stable and have funds in pensions or ISAs you can already draw from, you might not need to wait decades longer to quit work. Sign 4, you have multiple streams of income. Let me tell you about a member of my school community who we'll call John. John was mortgage free, lived a modest lifestyle and had access to his pension. On paper he looked ready to retire, but here's the thing. All his money was tied up in individual companies. Individual stocks he'd picked based on online tips. When those shares took a hit, his retirement plans crumbled overnight. The people who retire early and stay retired usually have multiple streams of income. Rental property income, a side business they enjoy, defined benefits pensions kicking in later, and a diversified investment portfolio spread across pensions and ISAs. If your income doesn't come from just one source, you're in a much stronger position to walk away from work with confidence. Sign 5, you're in good health and have energy. Money is important, but health and energy are priceless. The sad reality, most people retire at 65. By 70, the health begins to decline. By 75 or 80, they spend more time in doctor's offices, hospitals than ticking off bucket list dreams. Flip that timeline around, retire at 50, and you've got 15, 20 years of peak energy to travel, start a passion project, or play with your kids and grandkids. If you're still healthy, active, and full of life, that's a sign you might want to retire sooner, not later. because you can't buy back time. Sign 6, you don't love your job anymore. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about your job? Do you love it? Is it just okay? Or do you secretly hate every minute? Counting down the hours until 5 p.m. or even later. If you felt stuck in category 2 or 3 for more than a year, and no holiday, role change or team change makes it better, then your work is draining years of your life. You'll never get back. That's another strong signal that it's time to look seriously at retirement. Sign 7, you have a plan for retirement. Here's one most people overlook. Even if your finances are good, retirement can feel empty if you don't know what to do with your days. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen loads of family and friends retired with no plan, no hobbies and no purpose. Within months, they seem to grow old almost overnight. They lose motivation and fall into depression. Money alone doesn't guarantee happiness. You need a reason to get out of bed. Whether that's travel, volunteering, golf, or starting a side hustle. You need something that gets you going. If you already know exactly how you'd spend your days in retirement, that's a sign you're ready. Sign 8, you're already thinking about it. Finally, here's the simplest sign of all. If you're watching this video, reading retirement blogs, books, or crunching numbers late at night, that says something. It means you're already asking the question, could I retire now, early? And often, if you're asking the question, the answer is that you might be far closer than you actually think. As always, nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice, and the disclaimer can be found below in the description. Chapter 2, the overlooked option, semi-retirement. Now, before you hand in your notice, tomorrow, let's talk about something important. Early retirement doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't need to go from full-time work to full-time golf overnight. In fact, one of the smartest and most overlooked options is semi-retirement. Imagine cutting back to 3 days a week, or only taking on projects you actually enjoy, or working mornings and keeping afternoons free. Semi-retirement gives you the best of both worlds. You keep some income coming in, you maintain a sense of purpose, and you get time back to enjoy life now. Many people find this middle ground is not only less scary financially, it also makes them happier. Because let's be honest, golf 5 times a week might sound good, but it gets boring fast. Chapter 3, balancing the scales. So here's the takeaway. Retirement isn't about hitting a magic savings number. It's about balance. If your mortgage is gone, if your spending is under control, if your investments are diversified and accessible, if you're in good health and already know what you want from life, then you might be all ready for retirement. And the biggest mistake would be waiting until your health, energy and motivation are gone. Summary. So let me ask you this. Which of these signs do you already tick? Are you close to retirement than you thought? Have you saved too much? Has this particular video got you thinking that maybe your ideal retirement doesn't need a huge amount of money saved, and that it really isn't as much as you think? I personally feel life is too short and we should all retire early or as soon as possible so we can live life on our own terms. If you're in your 30s or 40s, you might need some extra help and support. If you want more info, like exactly how to invest and what to invest into, I've just published a new playlist on this very channel called How to Retire Early, Step by Step, made up of 5 easy to follow videos, and importantly, gives you all the info you need to retire early. All I would say is to watch the videos in order and to take some notes. Otherwise, you're not going to learn the information and you probably won't retire early.